This might be one of the largest npm supply chain breaches we have ever seen, and no, this isn't April Fool's, it's just bad timing, and people need to be aware of this. It happened in the Axios package, the HTTP client that's been installed 101 million times this week and has over 174,000 dependents. So it's already impacted packages like Datadog, OpenClaw, and WordPress, and it's also been linked to North Korean hackers. So let's just jump in and see what happened. So here's the story. On March 31st, 2026, an attacker compromised the npm account of the Axios lead maintainer and published two backdoor releases. Version 1.14.1, which was tagged as the latest release, and also version 0.30.4, which was tagged as legacy. In these packages, they introduced a phantom dependency called plain crypto.js, which was essentially just the normal crypto.js package, but it had one small tweak. It had a post-install script called setup.js. That means that everyone and every CI installing these compromised packages was also running this script. The script itself contained obfuscated code that was checking what operating system you were using, then connecting to a server to download a second payload that was relevant to the operating system you're on. So nobody was safe from this attack, and they even went so far as making sure that the macOS payload worked on both Intel and Apple Macs. And it's this second payload that is the really bad one. This is the RAT, or the Remote Access Trojan, and it works basically the same across all of the operating systems. First, it would scan your files, going through your documents, desktop, and config folders, and the Windows version was even scanning your OneDrive, app data, and every drive letter you had on your system, and then it would send that list of files back to the server, probably so they could check if there was something worth stealing. After that, it would then start beaconing, so every 60 seconds, it was phoning home with your hostname, username, operating system, time zone, hardware model, and a full list of every running process, so the attacker could see what software you're running and whether you're actively using it. And if all of that doesn't sound bad enough, the worst bit is yet to come, as at any time the attacker could remotely issue 4 commands that would let them browse any directory on your system, run arbitrary shell commands or scripts, drop and execute additional malware, or even kill the entire process to cover their tracks. In fact, they even made sure that the original setup script would delete itself, then delete the package.json that had the post install in it, and replace it with a clean version to try and make this as undetectable as possible. So you can see this hack was really bad, and it's been designed to target developer workstations and CI/CD runners to look for all types of secrets like .env files, npm tokens, SSH keys, and anything else, and any system that executed these malicious payloads should be treated as a full credential theft scenario. On top of all of this, there's also the mystery of how the npm account was compromised. The maintainer noted he has two-factor auth enabled, and his GitHub action pipelines also have auth enabled as well. So what appears to have happened is the packages were published using the npm CLI, using a long-lived npm access token. So the next question is how they got access to that token, and the maintainer even thinks that someone may have got his account recovery codes, but how they did that is a complete mystery for now. If you want to see if you've been affected by any of this, make sure to search your log files for the impacted Axios versions, as well as the plain crypto.js package, and also search your node modules for the package itself. If you see any of them, unfortunately, it is bad news. You can also check your system for some RAT artifacts, and I'll leave full write-ups on this link below so you can follow the steps as well as know what to do if you have been compromised. In the future, there's also a few steps that you can take to try and prevent these attacks, and the first one is always commit your lock files and make sure you're using the npm CI command instead of the npm install command in your pipelines. You also want to make sure you have a minimum age set in your package manager, making sure that packages are at least 48 hours old before being installed, with the hope that any malicious ones are caught in time, as this Axios one was actually discovered and deleted 3 hours later. Finally, if possible, just use the ignore scripts flag when you're running npm install, or just use a package manager like Bun, which actually blocks all post-install scripts by default and only runs them on dependencies that you specifically listed as trusted. I hope this is the largest attack that we see this year, but we're definitely seeing more and more of them, so make sure you're staying safe out there, and let me know what you think of all of this in the comments down below. While you're there, subscribe, and as always, see you in the next one.